What's up, guys? Welcome to the Saturday edition of the Occupy Fantasy Underdog Fantasy Best Ball streams. Your host Chuck Silver and Ken here. Ken, how we doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice and sunny, and I don't think we've done one of these since the Lakers Celtics NBA Finals. So, oh wait, that didn't happen. But yeah, I'm excited to do some NFL here.
This guy, I'm just catching strays. I didn't even do anything. Um, yeah, it's been a while since we've done a draft. I think we've only done one together. ADPs have probably shifted a little bit, couple new contests out, but today we are going to be drafting a Best Ball Mania 4. So if you watched the last couple streams, we've kind of played with the other formats a little bit, but we're going to get back to the main contest today. So let's see how we do. Anything that you see in like the draft landscape you want to talk about before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be drafting here, and actually, it's been a while since I've done one of these. So, even for me, the ADPs will be new. So, I'm interested to see like who's gone up and gone down.
Yeah. The big one for the last couple of weeks was Paris Campbell. If you pull up if you guys have been using our Occupy ADP tracker, then you can easily see some of the ADP changes. But with we're not really getting that. Sorry, I'll change my face in a second. We're not really getting too much news that's affecting players like dropping a bunch or shooting up a couple rounds or anything. And so maybe it's going to be a little bit quiet in terms of what changes with ADP in this contest. But yeah, so we can just jump in
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
All right. So I'll enter here. We'll do that. Whatever on that. Okay, we're waiting for three more people, so it'll be soon to go here. So who have you been taking near the top, or it's still relatively similar? Have you seen any changes in ADP here?
I admit it. I haven't been drafting too much of Best Ball Mania. I've been mostly drafting the. Well, I've been like trying to grind the super flex before it closes. It's about 85% full. It'll probably be open for another day or two, and then that weekly winners contest is super interesting to me. And so my takes have changed a bit probably since the last time we've been drafting. In the first couple of rounds, though, I don't see too much different. Just still prioritizing the receivers in the first round, and then trying to get one of those top running backs, Nick Chubb, through about that Brees Hall range in the second and third, if I can.
Yeah, I like that. And looks like we've got 11 here. And I know you mentioned this, but I'm also a fan of the CD and St. Brown combo there. If you
Mhm.
do that on the turn, so that could be an interesting spot. But I guess we'll see where we go here.
Yeah, that's one thing. I haven't. I don't know. It was like in the beginning of draft season, I was getting so many late picks, and then now I'm getting a lot of early picks. Like I have so much Jamar Chase. I'm so excited about it. But my CD and Amon Ra ownership is not to where I was hoping it would be, just because I'm not getting those, 10 through 12 picks. So
Yeah, I gotcha. And like if we were to get a top pick, like you would just take like if you got one, it would be Jefferson, and B2 would be Chase, right?
yeah, my order right now, I'm taking Justin Jefferson every single time at one because I mean he's my number one guy, and then Jamar Chase, I'm getting him a lot at three actually, which is awesome. I have like 16% Jamar Chase, which is 2x what would be expected if I only took him at the two spot. And then I've actually stopped taking Christian McCaffrey because it's kind of awkward when I always want to take that running back on the 2-3 turn. So I'm pretty much taking Cooper Cup or Tyreek Hill every time. Kind of indifferent between the two right now.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think I still like McCaffrey. It's gonna be a good offense in not terribly strong conference there. So I think McCaffrey you can still justify taking early there.
Yeah, I have. It's not that I'm out on McCaffrey. I think he was my second overall pick last year after Cooper Cup. So I'm still super high on CMC. I love him, but it's just with the way that the draft board is right now, it's kind of awkward to take him because I mean I'll still take him sometimes and start with two strong running backs and only one strong receiver, but I really prefer to have the two strong receivers and one strong running back if I can.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, I wasn't even sure if I entered the wrong one, but Nick Chubb and Joe Burrow have gone super early in this one. So
This man, I've seen crazy stuff happening in the other drafts. Like the lower price points, you're going to see more inexperienced drafters. People are just going to, do whatever they want to do, especially on the other sites if you've been drafting there at all. But this is kind of tells us it's going to be a fun draft room, right?
Well, you know, when Jamar Chase goes, this guy decided to snipe him by taking Joe Burrow, so no correlation there. But I mean,
Man.
we'll wait for just like in these positions. I think we just take like whoever's the best. Like
Mhm.
if Kelsey somehow gets to 11, then you just grab him up,
Yeah.
or whoever gets to 11, then you just draft her.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like Chris and I and Brian and I have been talking a lot about correlation on the stream, and we're mostly drafting for correlation, but we're still taking our guys. Like you don't have to correlate your first and second and third pick. We can find the correlation later. I think the best advice is just whoever you are high on, take your guy. Balance it out if you're doing a bunch of drafts. Start mixing it up, but I think the number one thing is take the guys that you're high on. Like that's the whole thing, right? Picking players, like having your player takes. Where are we going to find that advantage over the field?
Yeah, I agree there, and I'm up, so I'm gonna queue AJ Brown. I think he's a good here at 11, but I don't know if you have any other guys here.
Um, well, me, I'm personally usually just going for that CD Amon Ra combo, but it does have me lower on players like AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs, and I think I mentioned this before. I might have a blind spot on those guys because I like last year I thought Stephon Diggs had big potential to be the wide receiver one overall. I don't see why he wouldn't have the potential this year, and then AJ Brown just another year with an improved Jalen Hurts should be good. Are you going to look to grab Jalen, or you're going to take a receiver or a running back?
I mean, we'll see what falls, but I haven't been grabbing too many quarterbacks this early.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I can start AJ Brown and CD here, which is actually not too bad.
Seems like a pretty good start.
So let's do that, and we'll get that going. And yeah, I'm high on. I mean, the Eagles and Cowboys, they should both be good offenses, right? And with kind of you also get like a divisional correlation,
Hmm.
even if it's a smaller one. But I mean, this is a good start for, I think, in terms of value, because these guys drafted, off the board picks early. So I'm all for just taking these guys early with my pick.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anyone's watching and you're ever in doubt, just go by the best ADP value. I mean, these rankings are the consensus of everyone drafting. They're pretty sharp. So
Yeah,
trying to.
don't get until 35, but
Do you have an idea of a player you already have in mind, or we'll see? I guess who's available.
I'm looking at these guys. I know you're out on Debo, and
Hmm.
I'm guessing you're not too high on Ridley either.
Yeah, Debo. I can't imagine I'm going to draft him a single time on purpose. But Calvin Ridley, I've actually taken a few times. I could see a path to getting there. Like obviously Debo has a path to getting there too, but I I'm having a tough time getting to Ayuk now, even because he's up to like pick 53 or 54, and I was really in on him when he was in the mid 60s. But now his ADP, like he might be one of the biggest ADP risers considering how early he's going.
Yeah, well, he's interesting because there's a lot of talent, but I think still with the QB and you're not too sure, it looks like it's gonna be Purdy,
Hmm.
which you never know because I mean there's still like a good chance he was just running really hot and turns into an egg this year, which wouldn't be good.
Yeah, Brian and I actually were discussing that on one of our streams earlier in the week. Is where he asked me like, why am I in on Purdy? And I just said because the coaching, like from what I've read, it seems like the coaching staff expects Purdy to start. It seems like he has the support of the guys in the locker room. Because Brian's in on Trey Lance, and with Trey Lance, my thing is just I haven't seen him do well in a game, and so I think it could be like Brock Purdy seems like the safer pick, but Trey Lance does have the higher ceiling. I can't imagine he doesn't, right? It's just he has to play to score fantasy points, and we don't know if he's going to play.
Yeah, I mean Trey Lance is actually a big what if, and do you think they might even cut him, or if he's even in consideration for that, or?
I feel like someone's going to give up a late round pick at the very least for him, right? Like they can get something back for him. Maybe someone goes down, one of the starting quarterbacks goes down mid year and they just don't have a strong backup. Like, F it, let's take a chance on Trey Lance, give him a few weeks and see if he's an NFL player.
Yeah, well, those QBs are weird because it's like you're contending, so you already have a guy, or you're
Hmm.
not trying to win games. So I don't know if you're trying to build around Trey Lance because most teams draft their
Right,
own guys or they have someone else.
right.
Yeah, so always
It's a
interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm gonna keep drafting Brock Purdy. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't have like that much of him, so it's not gonna kill me. And then the San Francisco offense should probably be pretty good no matter who's starting at quarterback. So taking the like, I'm not getting to Kittle either, but I can see getting to Kittle. I'm okay with doing it. I'm just not doing it myself, I guess.
Yeah, I think San Francisco, also kind of similar to Seattle, is
Hmm.
that they're being drafted at where I guess their peak expectation is. Like Seattle, definitely, because these guys are going super early, and if Geno Smith regresses and the O line was kind of a disaster late last year, then these guys are being overdrafted in a sort of sense there.
Well, that's the other thing that's super interesting to me. There's a few offenses where the skill position players go so early, San Francisco and Seattle, but their quarterbacks go, relatively late, considering they have three, four skill position guys going in the top 100. Like the Chargers have three skill position guys going in the top 50, but Justin Herbert also goes around 50, so that kind of makes more sense. But I don't know.
Yeah, and we're just coming up here, and preferably I would have liked Brees Hall to fall, but he got taken. So I would lean running back. I don't know if you start three wideouts a lot or.
I do, but like I said, like if I can get one of those starting caliber running backs up to Brees Hall, then I usually will. I don't like any of the receivers in this range.
Yeah, so I've queued up Najee Harris, which is an
Yeah,
interesting one.
yeah, he's a guy I've been getting to. What are you in on Jalen Warren? No, yes,
I'm in on the Steelers. I think
okay.
they've got a really good roster, and I'm not like the biggest fan of Najee Harris, but if the volume is there, I
Mhm.
think the team should improve. So
That's where I'm at. Like people cite his poor yards per carry. It might be yards after contact too, but if he's gonna get the workload, then it kind of evens it out. He's cheaper than he was last year. Like this is not a bad price to pay for him where he's going.
and we're back up, and your favorite guy Debo is still going here, but I guess I'll look elsewhere.
Hey, if you're high on Debo, don't be shy.
No, I mean, what do you think about Lamar? And it's a while until the next quarterback, so I think he's the last ones of the elites here. So I don't mind going Lamar early.
Yeah, I don't mind going Lamar early either.
So
With
I
the
will do that.
Yeah, I find myself actually drafting a decent amount of the earlier quarterbacks, not because I like them so much, but it's just because I don't really want to click on any of the guys next to them. I guess
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. And I think guys like Judy or
Mhm,
London or whoever's in this range, these guys are like being drafted at their peak expectation,
mhm,
and it's I think of it as kind of similar to like betting player props. And it like you kind of want to look towards the under because they set those
mhm.
lines. It's like if everything goes well, he's gonna end up around 25 points or 50 whatever yards or whatever. So I mean, these guys are drafting being too high, so I don't mind going Lamar here for sure.
Have you because I know you're a fan of the Underdog Pick'em. Have you taken a look at any of the season long lines?
Yeah, I mean, those are interesting, but I don't, it's just something you gotta wait 6 months to pay out if you play any of those.
Yeah.
So I'm not too interested in those, but I have taken a look, and I will say that just like what I said earlier, like most are, what they'll do in peak expectation. Like, I mean, there's always injury risks, especially in football. I mean, and like it's hard to get 1,000 yards for wide receivers. So if your lines are set near
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of things have to go right. So I would lean towards unders in most of them,
Mhm.
but that's
Mhm.
usually how I do my strategy there.
Yeah, I actually I did that with MLB, not NFL, but I have some all unders selections going on a couple of these sites for the baseball season, and it looks like most of them are going to hit. But something I was reading about this specifically too is just, for example, I think I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but Bijan's yards were set where if you think Bijan plays all 17 games, then you should smash the over. But kind of like that's kind of baked in, right? That maybe there's an injury risk. Maybe he doesn't play all 17 games for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think I saw something similar to that. I guess that was just low actually that they didn't just project Bijan properly to slide and roll, so that's always difficult as well when you get like unknowns and rookies
Hmm.
for sure.
And that's the other thing too. Everyone's throwing out all these projections for workload, and it's like if he just catches, yeah, they have Underdog has Bijan at 1,075 and a half rushing yards, higher, lower, and 8.5 rushing touchdowns, which I don't know. It seems like a pretty good season.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. And for like, if any of these guys miss like 1 or 2 weeks, then you're kind of underwater with the if you're doing looking
Yeah.
at the overs there, right? So
Yep.
so we're coming up here. We've got 59. I didn't do much in terms of correlation just because I like the guys where I drafted, so I overlooked that sense. But it would be nice to get something later here in terms of correlation. But I don't know, like who are some of the guys you like in this range here, around 60-ish.
Um, I think my auto pick is usually Marquise Brown here. He's like my third or fourth highest owned guy so far in best ball drafts. I think just like without DeAndre Hopkins, even if Kyler misses half the season, he's still going to be the number one receiver, even with Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I like that, and he's got he's shown history of producing with probably not the best quarterback or even wide receivers around him. So I like that for sure.
So when I've been trying to stack Lamar, it's pretty difficult if you don't get Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle in the first couple of rounds. Do you think you're going to throw one of his running backs onto this team?
Well, I mean, they've got Mostert and Jeff Wilson, but have you seen that like Dalvin Cook
Hmm.
is rumored to could be Miami as we get sniped on Marquise Brown there.
Well, it's our fault for saying it out loud,
That's
but
all
yeah,
right.
I'm a fan of Chris Godwin too, and then the Seattle guys I'm also okay getting to in
Yeah,
this range.
yeah. I think I'll go Lockett just because I'm sure Seattle's got correlation with Pittsburgh and even
Yep,
Philadelphia. So I'm gonna queue up Lockett here.
I like it.
And I prefer him over Smith and Jigba, even though they're kind of in they're in the similar range, but
Hmm.
I do prefer Lockett. And I watch a lot of Seattle, so he when he catches the ball, have you seen him? He'll avoid the hits,
Hmm.
so he'll
Yep,
give himself up
yep.
immediately. So I like that. It's like we're gonna throw. Oh, and we're up. But yeah, I'll queue up Godwin. I mean, you could go like JSN for the double correlation there, but I don't know about that.
I'd rather go with Lockett and JSN at their prices than Metcalf and either of the two. Um,
Yeah, this one is interesting, but I'll go Chris Godwin just because he should also be a good receiver there. So we're pretty stacked up on receivers, and we'll probably have to lean running back here soon.
yeah, this is a pretty comfortable start. Like if I had the start, I'd usually be pretty happy with how it's gone so far.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the like Metcalf is super early for like I don't know how much to expect from him this year because he had pretty good seasons last year, and it just feels like he's reached like a ceiling, like there's not much more to go there. But
Hmm.
I don't know, he like 30 is pretty early for Metcalf.
Well, so the thing with Metcalf is like if he gives you that spike week in the playoffs, then his draft position is probably justified. But am I mistaken in that Lockett has more PPR? Maybe it's half PPR points over the last few seasons than DK Metcalf, like every time.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely for sure. But they don't like Lockett. He's not the sexy guy. He's not the 6'5" guy that gets open. So, but yeah, it's always interesting to see how that goes.
I think that Pittsburgh Seattle game, that's week 17 stack. It's one of my most exposed week 17 stacks. I'm getting to Najee, Deontay, even George Pickens, and then take your pick of the Seattle guys and Charbonnet too. I'm getting to a lot of Charbonnet.
Yeah, I like him. I like Charbonnet because I don't think they would have drafted him that early if they wouldn't have a plan for him. So we could see him have a late season resurgence, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sour on Seattle's offense just because I felt they did exceed expectations by like a lot. And now we're kind of expecting them to do the same thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took a step back. But the conference is relatively weak, so they'll probably still be there.
I mean, I haven't ranked them or anything, but just in my head, I'm pretty sure I have Seattle as at least top six, if not top five offense.
Yes, hopefully. And I mentioned this. I was listening, to one of the athletic NFL pods. It's you got to have a solid O line, and just have like 3 out of 5 guys be kind of above average, or just be solid, and then that can fill in some deficiencies you have on the other guys. But if you can protect, then Geno Smith can. I mean, he throws one of the nicest balls, so hopefully they'll still have that production if they get help from the O line.
I want to say I saw something along those lines, and maybe I'm mistaken, but I think what I came out from that was like I didn't listen to the podcast, but someone was posting tweets about how the offensive line is correlated with win totals, and it's something like the offensive line is very heavily correlated with Vegas win totals, strength of the O line. So it's something to keep in mind, definitely.
Yeah, and we're almost here. And ideally, I'd like a running back. I would just take DeAndre Swift because I've
Hmm.
got AJ Brown for the correlation. I don't mind DeAndre Swift just because they're gonna be good offense, and Sanders, does have something to replace there, so that would be interesting.
I've seen a lot of good arguments for DeAndre Swift. If he stays healthy, then he should smash. I'm starting to take more of him, but Kenny Gainwell is currently my highest owned running back. I just, two injury prone guys ahead of him. He's shown success when he's gotten the opportunity. So, but Rashad Penny is probably the Philadelphia guy. I'm just not getting to as much. I was getting to him before, but I'm not really ever clicking on him anymore.
Yeah, I agree there. And I've queued up a couple running backs, and they've got I guess correlation, but they're also guys I like. David Montgomery and James Conner.
Hmm. Yep.
Also some good picks here. So it looks like we should get, hopefully, at least one of them, unless this guy picks all three at once. But okay, he's got Swift. So do you prefer Montgomery or James Conner? If you
I've
had
been
to.
clicking on James Conner more, but I'm in on both of them. James Conner, I think, is going to get the work regardless of how many touchdowns, and then David Montgomery, I kind of think, is going to just score touchdowns. He's not going to do what Jamal Williams did, but if he gets is he? He's probably not even going to do half of what Jamal Williams did, but I mean, he doesn't really have to get there. And plus, you get that with David Montgomery specifically, you have the correlation with
Yes, CD.
Dallas, and then if James Conner comes back, then you have the correlation with the
Oh,
Eagles. So
oh man, this might be the one. I just doubled up there. I didn't
isn't
even.
that the best? Where you're sweating three guys for three picks before your pick and two picks after your pick, and you just get like you don't care which two, but you got. I mean, those are probably the best two you could have got since you already had the Philly guy anyway. Now we just have max correlation.
Yeah, and we just loaded up, and I like this because we're solidified and kind of wide receiver and running back and even quarterback. So I like the strength of this team for sure.
What has been your strategy at tight end? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I've seen Like I saw Brian mention something like if you draft a late one, like should you draft like a one right after you draft the first one? And I don't know. I think when you get to this range and you don't have a stud tight end, then I mean lower down the board you kind of get guys are closer in terms of production. So I don't mind keep on waiting here.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have any other thoughts there, but that's what I'm doing.
So I'm okay taking Kelsey, I guess, if he falls a couple picks, and then I have been taking Mark Andrews a little bit, but I'm not really getting, I guess, Hawkinson a little bit. So I guess I'm taking the elite QBs a little bit. Darren Waller's or elite tight end, sorry. Darren Waller's currently my highest owned tight end in through like 150 drafts, which is kind of surprising me, but I guess I get it. And then but most of the time, I'm just taking one of the tight ends in maybe the Chig, Higby, even like Dawson Knox range. And then just if I have two tight ends in the last rounds that correlate with my quarterbacks, then I'm taking them.
Yeah, I don't mind that, and I agree. If I've got a Kelsey or Andrews, I'm really okay just passing and only getting one other guy as a backup. Just
Mhm.
because if your guy you spent that draft capital, and if he's not going to produce, then it really wasn't much of a chance to start with.
And yeah, the thing with those two guys specifically too is like Kelsey's floor is probably 2x what some of these, I don't want to say what some of these late round ceilings from these other tight ends, but just Kelsey's floor, like you don't have to worry about him having a bad game and hoping someone else steps up. Like his floor game is still going to be a really good tight end week. Like it's still going to be a top 10, top 5 tight end week most of the time, right?
Yeah, and there's always concern to see if he can just keep doing it and how taxing football is, and it's another year, but somehow he just keeps defying expectations there.
And just like it's a little bit different because he's going earlier than in previous years, but if I'm not mistaken, Travis Kelsey had the highest advance rate of any player in last year's BBM contest. So just something to keep in mind, getting those points at tight end when no one else can, even though you're giving up top receivers, it's very powerful. Especially in the other formats, it's even more powerful than in just regular best ball. If you're playing the weekly one, Travis Kelsey is probably one of the best possible first round picks, and in Superflex, he's pretty strong too.
I mean, it's like a cheat code when the quarterback is Mahomes there. So we're coming up. Um, I think I'd be interested in Tyler Boyd.
Hmm.
I notice his ADP has gone up, probably for good reason. I think the Bengals will sling it around and he can produce there. But if we don't get Tyler Boyd, are you still in on Juju? Because I know you guys drafted a lot of him there.
So Juju is still somehow my highest owned receiver. I'm like 50 drafts later since I started talking about it, and I've barely taken him, and he's still number one. That's how much I was taking him. Like if he, as long as DeAndre Hopkins doesn't sign there, if Juju's the number one receiver, I don't see how he doesn't beat his ADP. Him and Tyler Boyd are the two guys I've been taking mostly in this range, though, at receiver. I guess lately I've been picking Tyler Boyd because I'm avoiding Juju, unless I have that Buffalo correlation.
As Tyler Boyd escapes us once again. That's our bad. We should, but we've got Lazard. Are you in on Lazard? I know the Jets. The Jets could be interesting because the quarterback change is actually one of the bigger deltas. Even though Rodgers, I'm not too high on, but Lazard could be interesting from bringing him over from Green Bay.
One thing about Lazard, like his advanced statistics do not say that he should be like any kind of elite football player, right? But because we know that Aaron Rodgers likes to throw him the ball, I can overlook him not being as good as the other guys. If he's going to get balls coming his way, then I don't care. I'm taking Alan Lazard, and I don't mind it at all.
Well, I'm not high on these guys. It looks like I've queued up Fryermuth. I don't know if you got any other opinions here.
I don't hate Fryermuth. That's a guy who I'm not I'm not clicking on him because I'm taking the guys in his range, but I do like him. He's a guy that I want to have more of. But like I said, yeah, if I don't get one of the earlier tight ends, I'm usually just punting until Chig or Higby at least.
Yeah, and also I had Najee, so I didn't mind Fryermuth there. I guess we'll look at Pickett when he comes around.
I like that. Pickett's a really strong QB too. I think Pickett's better than the field thinks.
Yeah, I'm all Pittsburgh. Hopefully, they got a lot of talent. So, who do you think here? Juju is possible, but yeah, it's not great in terms of wide receivers.
Yeah, I think probably Juju. Maybe if you grab Tyler Boyd, maybe Sky Moore for that correlation. But I don't mind Damian Harris either. He's one of my higher owned running backs, but we're pretty strong at running back, so could go either way. Kind of, I'm pretty indifferent, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just all I've scrolled down and all these guys are gone. I guess I could have gone like Odell, but like that means I would have to think he would do something, and I don't. So
Yeah, I've clicked on him a few times, but I have a lot more of. I think Flowers is probably my highest exposed guy, and then Bateman after that. And Flowers is just because he's younger.
yeah, we could have gone Odell because we had Lamar, but like Lamar, I don't mind a naked Lamar. I'd be in the same boat as like a Justin Fields. Like I wouldn't be dying to get a DJ Moore or even anyone else lower. So
Mhm.
just with the rushing upside on these guys, like so I'm not too upset about that.
No, I like it. And that's one thing about like forcing the stacks. Like, yeah, we want to stack our quarterbacks, but if you really don't think the guy's going to do anything, then don't take him. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, and we're going here. Yeah, it's a tough range. Some of the guys here are not too great. Like, what do you think about the rookie in Miami, the running back? I know like Dalvin Cook is a possibility, but also they've got Jeff Wilson and Mostert already. So
If you combine the three Miami running backs, I'm probably there. One of them is probably on half my teams. Like it's not something that I intentionally did, but a Kaney. It's like you said, this range is tough, and he seems like a guy that I'm okay clicking on. And then Jeff Wilson just seems to always be there when I need that fifth or sixth running back. So I'm taking a ton of these guys. I'm really hoping Dalvin Cook doesn't sign there.
yeah, well you never know, and him and Hopkins are wild cards, and just like that, these ADPs could all change, right? So
And like as far as Akaney specifically, I don't really know too much about him as a player. I just when I'm picking him, it's with the idea that I'm expecting him to be the starter, I guess, by the end of the season. Or if something happens to one of Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert, he's going to get the work. He'll probably get some work either way, but we really don't know what's going to happen with that backfield.
yeah, I agree there. I wouldn't be too high on him just because like if he were something, I think he would have been an earlier running back drafted. But
Mm-hmm.
they've also gotten like other rookie running backs that they've tried to slot in there that haven't really performed there. Like I think Ahmed or the Dolphins have done a lot with running backs over the years. So
Yeah, who? Oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name. Who's the guy? Dolphins.
yeah, there's I think there's a certain guy that I'm thinking about, but oh, Miles Gaskin was yeah.
Yes, yeah, Gaskin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the guy he tried to slot in, and then it wasn't great. So
No, it was not. Like these four running backs at the top here, do any of these guys stand out to you? Like if you need a running back, what are we doing here?
I don't mind McKinnon just because he
Hmm.
plays on the Chiefs, and
Yep.
like I know he scored like a million touchdowns, but you still get that pass catching role with Mahomes that he's definitely on the board as he gets taken for sure.
Right.
Khalil Herbert, I think Brian's high on him. Nah, I
Hmm.
don't mind that either because he did show flashes when you watched him. That explosiveness, and now that Montgomery is gone, yeah, someone has to replace something there. So
Yeah, I'm getting to him and Roshan a bit, and then Deontay Foreman is pretty much just a desperation pick if I really need a running back in that range.
gotcha. Okay, I've queued up Herbert.
Hmm.
I don't mind taking him, but I am hoping Nico Collins comes to me on the wraparound in the next couple picks.
Man, he's been one of my favorite picks, Nico Collins.
Yeah, and I wasn't too high on him, but I saw that he had like something like a good target rate last year or catch
Hmm.
percent or whatever it was. But
Yeah.
he should be good this year.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm all about it, and I mean, he has like a good quarterback, right? I guess what we hope is a good quarterback.
Yes, because when you draft a guy second, you do not want him to bust. So I've queued up Collins. We could have gone like Rondale for correlation, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
with the situation there. I don't want to double up Gallup and CD either.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think it'll just be Collins for me here.
No, I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm clicking on Rondale a fair amount too, but we already have James Conner on this team.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't. Who does Houston? They correlate with Tennessee, so
Hmm. Very, I believe.
some Tannehill action, or I don't even know who's on Tennessee. Oh, they've got they still somehow didn't address the wide receiver room, and they lost Robert Woods, so that's a bit frustrating.
I actually went in kind of a dive on I was trying to figure out last night. I actually have the tab open still if I can talk myself into drafting Nick Westbrook Akine, and the answer was no, I can't.
No, the other guy is okay, I think. Like
Kyle
the guy that,
Phillips.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
I'd be taking shots on him especially at the end of like the 20 round drafts, like the Superflex or on the other sites. Even on
right.
here, I might take some shots in the 18th round, but I'd get to him before I got to Westbrook Akine.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's probably Traylon Burks. That's the only guy
Hmm.
that's. But he goes pretty early, right? So
Yeah. In the seven, well, Traylon and Chig, right?
yeah, those guys both. I saw that the Titans they defensively are a great team, and it does kind of make sense how they won so many games with such lackluster offense. But
Hmm.
I mean, if they do enough to stay in games, it could be a competitive division because it's not too strong with the rookie quarterbacks and questionable team in Jacksonville there. So
That's a good point you made.
yeah, I like Rabel as well. I mean,
Hmm.
I think he's won Coach of the Year, but he somehow keeps them in games. Like when he like taking the Chiefs with Malik Willis as QB to overtime and in a game they probably could have won. So he does a lot for that team.
Yeah, my roommate is a Titans fan. We've been friends for a long time, so I have to every time Titans sign like a third string middle linebacker, I got to hear about it. So I'm pretty familiar with the inner workings of the Titans, and unfortunately, I have grown into a fan. So
Yeah, well, they gotta you gotta tell them that they gotta get some receivers here because I don't know if Westbrook Akine or it's frustrating because these guys like they're good for deep shots, but you really need that wide receiver too to just get first downs or and
mhm.
these guys feel like they're gadget guys and run up and down the field. So
Right, for some reason, he's reminding me of like a like Josh Reynolds from Detroit. Not necessarily the player type, but just kind of like he's there. Um, I mean, I don't know. Westbrook Kine could do well, but are we really expecting any? I'm looking at his stats right now, and he just, I mean, he had his best season 2 seasons ago 38 catches for 476 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, it's not bad, but that's not anything that we want in our best ball teams.
yeah, and you think Tannehill starts the year? I mean,
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm down. Like, I don't like any of Titans' receivers except for Burks and Chig, but Tannehill ends up being one of my highest exposed quarterbacks every time, just in Superflex, especially because he's there. And then in regular drafts, like if I have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or even Lamar, and I don't, and I like, I got to take someone every time, like I'm comfortable with Tannehill as my second quarterback if my first one is elite.
yeah, that's kind of the route I'll go here with Lamar Jackson. If you draft a Mahomes, Hurts, or elite quarterback, you're probably not looking at another one until late, right? So
Because it's like, take Joe Burrow, for example. I think his floor was 20 fantasy points last season. Maybe he scored below 20 in one game, but pretty much all of his games were above 20 fantasy points. Like, if we're looking for a spike game from Ryan Tannehill, 20 fantasy points sounds like a really good game from Ryan Tannehill. So if his ceiling is going to be Joe Burrow's floor, then what's the point of drafting or spending draft capital on that second quarterback when it's just not going to contribute points outside of the bye week. Maybe in the playoffs, but
Yeah, that's right there. And we're coming up soon. Tyler Algier would have been interesting. But we've got like who do you think here? Marquez Valdez Scantling are you in on or Chark or
yeah. So Shark is a guy that I was drafting way too much of, and I just don't click on him anymore. I'm actually I swung back around to Thielen. I still have a bunch of Shark. I'm still okay with him. Valdez Scantling, I'm drafting a lot. Completely out on those other receivers that are on the screen right now, and Jerome Ford, I'm not really getting to either. Yeah, this
yeah.
is this is a tough one.
I would just go MVS here, I think.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's a
you
fine
know.
pick. Get exposure to the Chiefs' offense is never a bad thing.
Yeah, and you get near this point and you're just looking at guys who hopefully you get a spike week from or something.
I mean, that's the way I think about it. Like MVS, I think he had at least one really good spike week last season. Like if these guys give me a spike week or two, particularly in weeks 15, 16, 17, then I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I've queued up Pickett just because I don't want to miss out on him on the turn
Mhm.
or with my next pick. So I think it'll be Kenny Pickett. Laporta, what do you think about him? Because they did invest early second rounder, late first rounder, and hopefully the guy to replace Hawkinson. So he was interesting to me.
They said that he was good. Like the reports out of their camp is that he's good, and I'm taking him. Like he fits in that late round tight end category for me, where I'm never going to be comfortable if he's even one of my two, unless the one is Kelsey. But if he's like part of my group of three tight ends, then I'm okay with it. It's kind of weird though. Like, would you take a group of Laporta, say Michael Meyer, and I don't know, like Trey McBride? Like, is that something you would try to avoid? Just have three tight ends that we really don't know what their role is going to be, or are you always going to try to make sure you get at least one like Higby or even like a Hayden Hurst, Mike Gesicki, a guy that we know is going to be on the field constantly?
Yeah, I mean that's tough. That's tough. It really depends how you feel about Laporta
Hmm.
and the Lions offense there. And I really don't mind it because Hawkinson, they could kind of replace Hawkinson. I know Goff likes throwing to tight ends and he can catch him. So I guess if you're higher and you end up with Laporta and like a Michael Meyer there, then yeah, I mean that's tough. Honestly, I think I'd rather have the solidified tight end. I know you can still get a bunch down here. Like, I mean, who do we have here left? Jawan Johnson. He's an interesting one. He's not too bad. Dawson Knox.
I'm a big fan of Dawson Knox at ADP.
Well, when you draft a rookie, Kincaid's gotta be 50 spots earlier.
Blows my mind, dude. And he's fallen a bit from where he started, but he's still like the guys he's going around. It just why? Like based on what?
uh, Tyler Conklin, 60 catches. Is he
Another one of
still
my.
the guy, or if they've got or did they have another tight end on the Jets there?
I think he's the expected starting tight end.
Yeah, I don't mind that, especially like if he was doing that with Zach Wilson and
Mhm.
Mike White, then yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
there are
mean,
still tight ends near the end here.
one thing I will say though is that kind of like more people are doing zero RB compared to previous years. More people are just punting tight end compared to previous years. So make sure we're paying attention in our draft rooms to like if guys are avoiding running backs that we don't get screwed at the end. Like we were good on running backs early, so we didn't have to worry about it. But tight ends, if everyone's going punting tight end, then I think we still just want to be careful. We get three solid tight ends and a way to if the rest of our team's solid and we have three punt tight ends, everyone else does, then it doesn't really matter because I think we're going to draft the rest of our team better anyway. But just it's something to keep in mind. If too many people are doing it, it becomes not a good strategy anymore. Not as good of a strategy, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you. I think you tipped me into saying we should take a tight end soon, but yeah, I think there's still some guys here like Cade Otton should be the guy in
Mhm.
Tampa, and these guys don't really get drafted like 100% or Zach Ertz or Hunter Henry. How do you feel about Mike Gesicki? I think you liked him, but Hunter Henry's still there, right? So
Well, Hunter Henry was my guy before Gesicki signed there. He was by far my highest owned tight end in the big boards, and then Gesicki signed there. And I think I mixed up some information because I even said it on a stream with Chris. I think I was under the impression that Gesicki was a very strong blocker, and so I was worried about his route participation on the Patriots. But I guess he just didn't run routes for Miami because whatever. And so I'm pretty in on Gesicki, especially if they do end up running two tight end sets. Like either way, a tight end on the Patriots in these last rounds, they should easily exceed value.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they like Gesicki just because they had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to throw to. I think Durham Smythe might have been the better blocker, so they played him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever that was, and it's like we don't need a wide receiver three or a tight end to throw to, so you're not gonna play if you can't block, right? So
Are you interested in adding a Durham Smythe to get that Miami
man,
correlation?
absolutely not. For the one catch, 6 yards every week.
What
Oh,
about
I'll queue up Dawson Knox or
I like it.
Conklin. What do I have in terms of correlation? Well, I guess I'll go. It'll be Knox just because
You have Juju.
I'll trust ADP in these situations, and also yeah. Um, these guys are all interesting. We've got Zeke Elliott, who could be on the team soon, hopefully.
Who's drafting him? Like who's drafting him? His ADP has not tanked. Like it's still there. Like someone's drafting him to keep it where it is. I don't
Right.
get it.
They got to be bots or something. They know something we don't, and and I'm up again already. Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Mostert, or should I go Ty Conklin and be done with tight ends here?
You have two tight ends right now.
Yeah, I
I'd
guess
be
running back.
yeah. I'm okay with it either way. Like there's tight ends I'm comfortable clicking later. There are not running backs I'm comfortable clicking later. So actually, I probably lean towards running back.
And that's what happened there. Yeah,
Mhm.
Mostert or Jeff Wilson really flip a coin. Hopefully not Dalvin Cook or A Chain, I guess.
Well, on that Dalvin Cook note too, like I was talking about this with I think it was Moose. Like, what's the difference between Dalvin Cook, Zeke Elliott, and Leonard Fournette? Like, as far as advanced stats go, I'm pretty sure that they're all below average, right? So why is Dalvin Cook going 100 picks ahead of those guys still? I guess he's the most likely to be signed, but uh, I'm out.
Yeah, well, these guys. I mean, a lot of people like to see what's been done, and they still saw that Dalvin Cook and in that very good Vikings offense that he
Hmm.
was able to produce. So I think there's still some of that to him. But if he gets put in a bad situation, I agree there. It's not much of a difference between these guys.
Yep.
I'm slow and roll here. I like what I did with the receivers and the tight ends. This was pretty solid. I think Conklin if he gets around to me, but probably not. But are there any like late flyer guys like Pierre Strong or something that you're looking at here?
So I do not have a late running back flyer. I have enough wide receivers that I'll always have a wide receiver that I'm comfortable clicking in the last round. But there's not a run like even in like before, like if James Robinson was still in the Patriots, like a James Robinson type, where we don't know that he has a guaranteed role, but if he gets carries then he could be good. Like James Robinson is for fantasy is dead now, but do you have a late running back guy that you're comfortable targeting? Like, and I mean like late, like past Kenneth Gainwell, past Jeff Wilson, past Zeke.
I mean, I just saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire name here, which
Yeah, that's
I
like
wouldn't
that's like the
mind.
only that's like the only guy that I'm okay clicking there, and it's like we really need something to happen for him to get on the field. I mean, when he played, he had a few good games. I'm pretty sure he started out the season very strong last season, and then just lost his snaps.
What about Kareem Hunt? I'm surprised he still hasn't been signed here.
I think he's dust.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I'm
don't
gonna.
know. It's just if Cleveland didn't play him, like I get Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, but I don't know, Kareem Hunt. And I was super high on Kareem Hunt last year. I had a ton of him. He burned me, so maybe that has something to do with my bias on him.
Yeah, and they're like with Cook, Fournette, and Zeke all up. You're not really sure how many spots are left. Not enough chairs at the table, right? So
And what team do we even want these guys to sign with? Like, if like the Bengals, is that it? If Joe
yeah,
Mixon's something happens to Joe Mixon with the suspension or whatever, but like I can't think of another landing spot. Like the Bills would have been okay, but I don't know.
yeah, and guys aren't. I don't know how you can bring in. It's tough to bring in a running back in July and just be like, oh, you're starting week one. So these guys might be maybe more in the mid-season that they'll look to upgrade on if injuries happen or something, right?
Well, even so, let's say that like you like one of these guys. Let's say it's Fournette. He doesn't start the season on a team, but then someone gets banged up. He signs by like week 6 or 7. Like you're absolutely ecstatic that Fournette is on some of your teams, right? But that's a risk you take. Like if he doesn't play, then he gets you 0 points. But if he does play, he's probably an awesome pick.
Yes, gotcha. But
I mean, we're
yeah, I
gamblers
don't.
out here.
A lot of teams do have like running backs, like there aren't spots to fill when they sign any of these guys and slot in. And like Fournette, I don't know if you sign him, he's not going to be RB1 immediately, right? Unless you're a really bad team. So
And yeah, I cannot think of a team where I'd be excited about it. Like I'm still clicking on Fournette if I'm desperate for a running back because if he does get signed, then he's probably going to have some of the best production down here. But I don't know. What about receivers? Who are your late? I saw you clicking on Devontae Parker. You got to lean on Devontae Parker.
man, I mean, they just paid this guy, and he's gonna have to he's gonna play, right? So
Yeah,
it's a bit surprising to me that he's here at 208, maybe compared to like a Juju, where it's like 100 spot difference between these wide receivers. Where
right.
so Parker's interesting to me. I was high on Josh Downs, but I think guys have cooled on him. Looks like to ADP here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Clyde is probably my guy, and I've still got one more. I think I'll save it for a tight end, like Musgrave or Trey McBride. Like, what would you lean in tight end here?
So Musgrave, I've come around on. He's a rookie tight end, but is he? He's a rookie, right? It's not like his second year. He was just on the bench last year or something.
Yeah,
It
rookie, I
just
think.
I was down on Jordan Love, but I'm coming around to him. You know, people are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes or whatever, so I'm starting to click on him a little bit more. And just something like I mentioned, like if I'm taking those quarterbacks and their tight end is available late in the draft, I usually really like to pair those tight ends with their quarterbacks. So I'm okay getting to Musgrave,
Gotcha.
but I'm
But
really just trying to mix it up with these guys. Like if I have a correlation that makes sense, I'll go with them at tight end. If not, then kind of just whoever I'm in the mood for that day. Because there's a few guys here that I'm okay taking as my third tight end.
I don't mind a Noah Fant either.
Hmm. Yep.
Uh, Trey McBride. I don't know. It feels like Noah Fant's more of the solid guy that can catch balls there.
Well, one thing too, like I was saying, like we have Freermuth already, and we have another solid tight end. So I'm more willing to take a risk on one of these unknowns compared to like Noah Fant, who we saw lose his role a little bit towards the end of last season. But if I wasn't as strong at tight end, then I'd probably just take Noah Fant and hope that he was the solid floor guy that I needed at that point. You went with Ferguson.
Yeah, you said that, so I quick switched to Ferguson there,
I like it.
which I don't mind, just because there's a role to replace, and I've got CD on here as well, so I won't be as frustrated when he vultures touchdowns.
Right. I mean, second year tight end, right? And they're usually better than first year tight ends, and he's starting, so it's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean Schultz had such a big role that
Mhm.
I think there will have to be something to replace. I know Dak liked throwing him too much, so I'm hoping Ferguson can take that role. They've also got I don't know if they still have like Peyton Hendershot or
I
I
think they
guess you
do.
got Schoonmaker.
Hmm.
Here is yeah, I don't know how high these guys are, so hopefully Ferguson emerges, but I'm sure that a tight end will catch a touchdown for Dallas, and you can count on that.
Right. And something you just made me think about, like, one of these guys is going to be announced as a starter. It's probably going to be Ferguson. Like, and I don't know if that affects specifically his ADP too much since he's going so late anyway. But if you have a lean on who the starter is now, take him now and get a couple rounds of ADP value versus in August, dude. We're already like, I think it's 68 days or 67 days till the NFL season starts.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just sit at home, wait, and then soon like that, and it's almost here, and so it's exciting. And I didn't mind drafting. I'll do a lot more drafts around now, just because I
Hmm.
think I guess you guess more casual guys are probably easier for me to draft. It's also like I've been drafting, or you've been drafting. Guys have been doing this for a couple months. That
Hmm.
compared to guys who this will be their first draft, so there's a bit of an edge there, I think.
I think so. And just before we get out of here, like the one of the ways I'm trying to take advantage of that, like considering how many casual drafters are likely to start entering these draft streets in the next couple of months, like I've been talking about, I really like hammering these top running backs in the second and third round. I have a feeling that their ADPs are all going to move up a little bit once some more casual drafters come in. Like, have you looked at like rankings for like a ESPN redraft or like a sleeper redraft? Because I'm pretty sure that the running backs are all going higher than they are on Underdog for best ball.
No, I haven't. But you're talking about guys like Ramondre and Brees Hall, or those
Yeah,
guys?
even like Ramonde, Brees Hall, like Jonathan Taylor is a first round pick in redraft. Nick Chubb is probably like the 12th overall pick in redraft. Where like the redraft player, like the traditional fantasy players, aren't valuing the Devonta Smiths and Chris Olaves over those running backs, and so I'm hoping scooping them up now, and I'm creating some value for myself because I think those guys are. I just think their ADPs are all going to go up by at least a couple spots. The running backs.
Okay, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I like it does go super wide receiver heavy, and I think we've seen on on a turn that now teams are more offensive, but so they throw to wide receiver more, so they're drafting wide receivers earlier. But yeah, I mean the pod with the offenses, it's like you still kind of need a run game.
Hmm.
Like if you look at the teams in the playoffs, or even the teams who made the Super Bowl, like they all could run the ball. So
Hmm.
running backs definitely still a viable option here early.
Yeah, and if you play DFS, if you've listened to me talk about DFS, you know that I like to go against what the field is doing. I play pretty contrarian, and so trying to implement that a little bit in best ball, just where I see a slight edge, maybe. So, Ken, I think this was a pretty damn good team we drafted on stream. One of the better ones that we've drafted. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, I like the team, and it was interesting, and I think you get your guys early, and then maybe some correlation later on worked well for me here. So hopefully, pleased to do some more with these with you, Chuck.
Yeah, this was great. Good conversation. I appreciate anyone that tuned in. If you're watching this on replay, appreciate you. And just in case it's your first time signing up and depositing on an Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code Occupy2, the number two, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Get $100 in site credit. You can play some pick'ems. You can throw in a couple of BBM entries. They have the new weekly winners format. If you jump in there today, the Chihuahua Superflex still has some spots. So get in there, draft some teams, join us in the Discord. Let's discuss it, and we'll see you guys next time. Appreciate everybody. Thank you.